Hello to everyone. It is great to have you all with us. We're starting a few minutes early because we have quite a great program scheduled for today. And just so glad to have you all here. So glad to have everybody that's with us on Zoom. And we are especially honored today. We have several honored guests. We have Professor Drips, we have William Bradshaw, and we have Lana Abunijam. So you'll learn more about all of them, but it is just really going to be a great program. We're thrilled to have you with us today. And Jimmy Kimball is going to lead us in the invocation and pledge.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let us take a moment of silence. Heavenly Father, as we see the light at the end of the pandemic tunnel, please keep the memories of those no longer with us near to our hearts and continue to comfort the families who lost loved ones. Thank you for allowing us to gather publicly and help us to be mindful of the health of others. Please continue to bless Jane and the board as we close a challenging but outstanding Rotary year and provide guidance and wisdom to Ramona and the incoming board. Please continue to give us grace to resolve conflict in a humane manner, and let us always be reminded that we are here to serve you and to serve others. Bless this food to our bodies and us to thy service. In your name, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. I'm Lorraine Holman, and it's my pleasure to introduce a very long list of guests, so bear with me as I get through these names. As I call your name, please stand. Guest is Mardella Jones, guest of Miki Austin. Julie Jenkins, guest of Chantel Babb. Kim Fowler, guest of Josh Fowler. Christine Hossbauer, guest of Rob Rowan. John Dyer, guest of Jane Dyer. Bill Dyer, guest of Jane Dyer. Asala Dyer, guest of Jane Dyer. Meredith Woodard, guest of the club. Jaden Beek, guest of the club. Jamise Bonaparte, guest of the club. William Bradshaw, guest of the club. Annette Bradshaw, guest of the club. Megan Schroy, guest of the club. Patricia Paul, guest of the club. Kathleen Acevedo, guest of the club. Heba Abu Najem, guest of the club. Basil Abu Najem, guest of the club. Bayan Abu Najem, guest of the club. Jean Shrew, guest of the club, or Shue, my apologies. Reed Howell, guest of the club. Tamia Boyd, guest of Stan Reed. Wendy Green, guest of Elizabeth Lyons. Marty Smith, guest of Ramona. And Marty Elliott, guest of the club. Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Yes, it's wonderful to have so many guests with us. Like I said, we have a lot of special things going on today, and we're really happy to have all of you with us. As you recall, this year, Rotary opens opportunity, and our opportunities in our club, we've looked at networking, service, and fun. For our networking, we have an opportunity called Lunchtime Conversations. That's next Tuesday at 11:45, and it's facilitated by our own Teresa Miller. And we will be talking about forgiveness, forgiving the unforgivable. And Teresa leads a great discussion group. We learn to listen to other people, to present our opinions and ideas in a way that's accepted by others. If you have not joined us yet, it's a Zoom meeting, and we highly encourage you to do that. And then on the next meeting, June the 8th, we're having a Chautauqua Festival historical speaker actor. So that'll be very interesting. Join us on June the 8th. And the meeting June the 22nd, which is our normal Rotary meeting, we will not be having, because we're encouraging everyone to attend the All Club Conference the weekend of June the 25th through the 27th. So be aware, we're not having a meeting that day. And then our second area, service. We still have service opportunities left. Tomorrow at 3:30, we're going to meet at Alexander Elementary School. And Mike Shively and Lisa Minnick have been heading that up all year and have done a great thing. And this is our last activity there. We're going to be packing meal boxes for 30 of the students to take home at end of year to provide a little much needed food for them in the coming days after school. And then I'd like to mention today, of course, we're going to celebrate our Service Above Self Scholarship. And Kendra Witt, who was our 2016 recipient, just graduated with her master's in accounting from Wake Forest University, which is amazing. Especially if you consider that at one time Kendra was actually homeless after her father passed, and she has gone from that to getting her master's in accounting. And each of you should take great pride in the fact that Rotary gave her a scholarship that helped her meet those goals. So I think that's amazing. And then, of course, you know, I love the fun part. We're having a party. You're all invited to my house and my wonderful husband, John. He's the one I've told you that has all this like little museum stuff. We have cars and airplanes and soldiers and trains. And so if you're interested in any of that, or if you just like to sit outside and enjoy the beautiful outside with me, you can do that. It's going to be great. So 5 o'clock, we're having pizza from Coastal Crust. They're bringing a food truck. So it's going to be really fun. I hope to see you there. Also for fun, you're going to get more information later about the All Club Conference, but just I want you to know that I am encouraging each and every one of you to come. You'll get more details in a little while, but that is very important. As you're aware, Beth Padgett, the district governor, is from our club, so we want to have as big a showing as we can. And like Jimmy alluded to, our year is coming to an end, our Rotary year. The new one starts July the 1st, maybe June the 1st. Where's Ramona? But one of the things, we have done a lot of great things this year. And as you know, when COVID came, we lost some of our members. So I encourage all of you to still reach out and invite some people to our last in-person meeting. Will be that June the 8th meeting. And we'll also have a Discover Rotary. So invite them to come and join us for that. We would like to, you know, I'm a little bit competitive, so I'd really love for our numbers to be back to where they were when I took over. And we're very, very close. So if you know somebody you think might be interested in Rotary, please bring them to that June the 8th meeting. And a great thing, speaking of Ramona, we've been talking for years about how to encourage young people to join our club, and Ramona has taken action, and she brought it to the board, and we have a young professional 32 called YP32. So if these people are 32 or younger, we have cut their the very basic dues in half. So they only have to pay half of that, and they'll pay for their meals quarterly. So if you know a young person that has an idea of a Rotary that doesn't exist anymore, they don't know that we're fun and do great things, and we'd love to have them, make sure you encourage them to come on June the 8th. And we appreciate Ramona getting that rolling. And let's see. And I would like to, of course, welcome my wonderful husband and my son and his lovely wife, Asala. But they were here this past weekend. They got married in the country of Jordan 2 years ago. And then Asala is from Jordan. So we were going to have the American party last year, and it was postponed. So we had it this past weekend. So I told Asala that we had many people from Jordan with us today, and they stayed, and I appreciate that. And I just wanted to say that when we went to Jordan, it was magnificent. And I had no idea that all these things existed in Jordan. For the people of the Christian faith, in Jordan is where Mount Moab is, where Moses went and he got to look over the Jordan River to see the promised land. It's where Jesus was baptized. And they also have, I've been fortunate to go to Rome. There's lots of Roman ruins, but they have an ancient Roman city there. And the ruins are spectacular, called Jaresh. I had no idea. That's where Asala's family is from, close to there. So that was amazing. And then Petra, which many of you may have heard about, you go through this canyon that the walls are really high, but the rock, it is unbelievable. And they have sculptured on the walls, let's see, I looked that up. It was in the 1st century AD, they chiseled out these sculptures and they were mausoleums for the kings that had passed. It was just truly amazing. And I put a side note, and when we left there was a girl there with a Clemson hat on. So we were like this. And then we also got to go, there's a red desert there called Wadi Rum. And my whole family, we went down there and slept in a Bedouin camp in this red sand desert with these big red walls. And then we ended our trip. If you think of Israel and Jordan, and then there's a little point at the top of the Red Sea, the very southern part of the country, and you can stand in one place, and there's Saudi Arabia to your left, there's Israel to your right, and Egypt right past that. So it was just an amazing country, and I want to share that because everybody was so wonderful to us in Jordan, and I certainly hope that you get the same kind of hospitality in return. We're honored to have you all here. And Bert, yes, sir.
As many of you know, I'm closing in on the end of my 20th year as a member of the Rotary Club of Greenville. There have been a lot of highlights. I got to be president of this club, 2011-12. I got to be the district's group study exchange team leader to the Canary Islands. They made me go live in the Canary Islands for a month. It was terrible, but I had to do it. Take one for the team. But one of the real highlights over the last 8 years in particular has been serving on the committee that chooses our Service Above Self Scholar. And this is the 8th one of those that we are honoring today. And it's an interesting, there's some interesting facts about that, which I will get to. But I do want to recognize again, Lana's family, her mother, Heba, sister, Bayan, brother, Basil. Lana's father, Mahmoud, would have been here, but there was a family emergency, called him away at the last minute. But we are so glad you are all here. It's been such a pleasure to get to know Lana first by Zoom meeting, and then she wandered by my office one day at Greenville Tech, and now to see all of you in person. I also want to recognize Jean Hsu, who is at Greenville Tech. She's not a student. I know it's hard to tell the difference, but she's not a student. But Jean has kind of been Lana's mentor through her career at Greenville Tech Charter High School. And it shows as I will introduce Lana and tell you a little about what she's going to do, and you'll kind of pick up on some of that. So Lana, come up here for me, please. It is my distinct pleasure and personal honor to introduce to you Lana Abunajan. As you have already heard from Jane, Lana and her family came to the States from Jordan. It's kind of a circuitous route along the way, but they have, Lana was about 6 months old, is that right, when they came? And she has grown into obviously a beautiful young woman, a very intelligent young woman, and a very service-oriented young woman. I will not go into all the details. I'm assuming she will talk about some of this. We told her she needed to talk about some of that, toot her own horn. But Lana graduated yesterday from Greenville Tech Charter High School. And since I'm a member of the union at Greenville Tech, I need to say there's a source of pride for those of us who are associated with our local community college, and that is of the 8 service above self scholars, 3 of them have actually been from the Barton campus, 1 from the Greer campus, from the Benson campus. So half of our service above self scholars have actually come out of the Greenville Tech charter school system. And we are extremely pleased and proud of that. So note that. So as I said, Alana is a quite recent graduate of Greenville Tech Charter High School. She is off to be a freshman at the University of South Carolina, following in her sister's footsteps, and she's going to be studying public health. She has a view toward becoming a physician's assistant. My guess is she will probably go beyond that and will drop the assistant, and she'll end up being a quite successful physician along the way. I think she's, lulling us all into a false sense of security and just taking it, small steps at a time. I do want to recognize the members of the committee who are here. Judith Prince and Dee Kivett are Dee is not here, but Judy is one of our co-chairs. Lisa Minnick is here. Also serving were Walker Smith and Matt Cotner, and Grady Patterson did some of the work in the initial screening, though he couldn't be part of the actual interview process. And you have already been introduced briefly to some of our other scholars. Reed Howell is almost done at Clemson. He is our 2017 scholar. Jaden Beek, another one of those other alums from Greenville Tech Charter, as our 2019 scholar. Jamise Bonaparte is our scholar from last year, and I must say, go Raiders. She's a graduate of Greenville High. Abigail Smith, who went to the Greer Middle College, the charter school at the Greer campus, is the 2018. She is at Furman and is in class today. Otherwise, she would be here. And Jane mentioned about our, I guess she was our second scholar, wasn't she? Third. I lose track along the way. But of Kendra Witt, who has just finished her master's degree. Yeah, she was the third coach. Casey, who was the second, was another one of those Greenville Tech Charter kids. So we've had a really good run with our service above self scholars. Ellen Featherstone, whom has spoken here many times, of course, was a Clemson graduate, has been in the Peace Corps. I mean, it goes on and on. And so we're glad that you're all here to be part of our celebration today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the 2021 Rotary Club of Greenville Service Above Self Scholar, Lana Abunajim.
Thank you, Dr. Strange, and good afternoon. I want to start off by saying I'm so honored to have been selected as the 2021 Service Above Self Scholar. I want to thank the Rotary Club for giving me this amazing opportunity and for allowing me to continue doing service. I also want to thank you all, including my family, for being here today to present me with this award. I'm so excited to work alongside the Rotary Club these next few years and make great changes to the world. Service has always been an important part of my life. Having 2 immigrant parents, it was hard on us the first few years in America. My parents had to learn a whole new lifestyle and a whole new language. they needed to be able to provide for me and my 5 siblings every day. The first few years, my family relied on the service of our community to help us get started in America. As I grew up, I also relied on the service of my community and the people around me to help me be the best I can be. Now that I have been blessed with the opportunity to serve my community and the people that once helped me, I will take full advantage of the opportunity. I want to tell you about several of the service projects that helped get me here today. One of the biggest projects I have been a part of has been with Mental Health America. This project started off as part of my internship for my senior project class, but through it branched into many service opportunities. One of those opportunities being able to be trained to take and answer service calls on the crisis line and the reassurance line. I was also a part of their Teens for Hope program, where they take the time to get career professionals in the mental health field to teach us about mental health for teens, and then we branch out into our communities and teach teens and offer them resources. Another project I was a part of was with my youth group. We host an annual hijab booth in downtown Greenville on World Hijab Day, where we have a booth that offers brochures and we have hijabs for women to try on. We do this to teach our community about our religion, Islam, and also hopefully learn about all their religions. We do this to make our community a better environment filled with diversity and inclusiveness for all people. Those are just a few of the projects I have worked on. In the upcoming years, I plan to continue working on service projects with my youth group, like the hijab booth. I also plan on reaching out to the mental health facility in Columbia, where I plan to attend college, to volunteer on their crisis line and reassurance lines. Again, I want to thank the Rotary Club so much for inviting me and my family here today. Thank you for taking the time to listen and for giving me the chance to continue serving. I'm so excited and honored to be a part of such an amazing group of people and cannot wait to get started. Thank you.
Now, while the real prize is $20,000 over the next 4 years, everybody has to have something to hang on the wall. And so on behalf of the entire club, let me present this. It says the Rotary Club of Greenville awards the 2021-2022 Service Above Self Scholarship to Lana Mahmoud Abunajan for outstanding academic performance and contributions to the community of Greenville through service to others, May 25th, 2021.
Congratulations. And every year they get more amazing. You guys are amazing, but the next year it adds another layer to what we're doing here at the Rotary Club, and I think it's outstanding. Mr. Bradshaw, if you would come up, please. Thank you so much for being here. First, we're going to talk about you a little bit, okay?
Sure.
On occasion,
I hate to follow that.
well.
Great job.
On occasion, every once in a while, Rotary recognizes non-Rotarians for their commitment and their support of Rotary and our community and our state. And all this was started, one of the starters of Rotary was Paul Harris in 1905. He was a Chicago businessman, and he founded what became the humanitarian organization of Rotary International. Paul Harris Fellow is an award for exceptional service, which the Rotary Foundation gives to deserving men and women. Other non-Rotarians who have received this award in the past include Mother Teresa, Pearl Bailey, Jimmy Carter, and Jonas Salk. The Rotary Club of Greenville has recognized leaders such as Knox White, Virginia Aldrich, and Glennis Redmond as Paul Harris Fellows. Today, we honor William Bradshaw as a Paul Harris Fellow for his significant support of the Rotary Club and service to the community. He is the president and owner of Bradshaw Automotive. One of his first endeavors was being in the auto industry. When we came out with car seats, not everybody knew how to install car seats. So he took it upon himself, child car seats, to make sure that people knew exactly how to do that. They found out originally that 15 years ago when they started doing this, that people did not know how to do it. And so their ability to teach people to properly use car seats reduced the risk of death by as much as 71% for infants and 54% for toddlers. Since then, more than 20,000 car seats have been checked, and children are safer because of this. He said, Mr. Bradshaw said, when we have seen firsthand how preventative outreach, whether it is as simple as a car seat check or helmet fitting, can save lives, can you imagine how much more we as a community and a state can achieve through this kind of innovation approach that extends care to families and community? He went on later to fund the Bradshaw Institute for Community Child Health and Advocacy, which is part of Prisma Health Children's Hospital. The Bradshaw Institute is dedicated to improving the well-being of all children in South Carolina through innovative education and preventative programs, clinical research, and academic partnerships. The Institute serves as a catalyst in our community to optimize child health and development, to focus on reduction of high-cost care, and ultimately foster a healthy child into a healthy adult. Over the years, Mr. Bradshaw has been a major sponsor for our golf tournaments, which is where we met. He was a sponsor of just our last one, Top Golf, so we certainly appreciate that. And along the way, of course, he and his wife have done many things to support healthy children in our community. And one of our own, Elizabeth Lyons, says that William Bradshaw's generosity, compassion, and caring has helped our Rotary Club support its service to Alexander Elementary and our college scholarships, as well as other projects. And Linda Breeze of our club says Mr. Bradshaw blends business and philanthropy to improve his community. He uses every opportunity to improve the lives of citizens of the upstate, especially young children. He's been given many awards. His dealership was recently recognized by Safe Kids Worldwide as the best GM dealer in the nation, and he was recognized with the Safe Kids Worldwide Hero Award, which is given to an individual that used his influence to keep kids safe across the country. He is a compassionate, service-oriented humanitarian. He's made a significant difference in our community and in our hospitals amongst our children. And since serving mothers and children is a foundational part of Rotary International, we just wanted to know that we recognize you for not only what you've done for our club, but for our community and apparently the state and the country. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's just such an honor for us to recognize William Bradshaw and his commitment to children and health and to our community. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And we have another special treat today. We have Miss Ace and Mrs. Shorey from Alexander Elementary, and they are going to share with us an awesome video. And any of you who, a few of us have had a chance to read to them via Zoom and do food boxes and had a little bit of interaction this year, but this is wonderful and we appreciate y'all. We are very happy to have you with us also today, and we look forward to getting to know you much better. Thank you.
Hello Rotary, my name is Marlene Hajma, and I'm the assistant principal at Alexander Elementary School. As we wind down the year, I can't help but to think of all the impact that you have had on us here this year. It reminds me of a quote by Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." I hope that by viewing this video, you get a glimmer of the impact you have made on Alexander and the lives that you have changed. Thank you so much for your dedication to us and walking beside us through this weird year. We truly appreciate you.
Hey Greenville Rotary, it's Katie Ramirez. I teach first grade at Alexander Elementary. My class and I just wanted to thank you for everything that you did for us this year. I personally wanted to thank you for the warm lunches that you provided for us and all of the knickknacks and the things that you gave us during Teacher Appreciation Week. Your work never goes unnoticed.
Thank you for giving us new shows. Thank you for giving us food so we can live. Thank you. Thank you for reading us.
All right, and what do we say, class?
Hi, Rotary Club. My name is Mrs. Beck, and this is my 4th grade class. We just wanted to thank you for everything you've done for us this school year. As a teacher, I've appreciated your emails and your wishes for us. We've appreciated having our lunches and special treats throughout the year. I know that my students have appreciated the shoes that have been provided for them at the beginning of the school year and our books that were given to us during our reading week and everything else that you do. And I think my class has a little something for you too.
Thank you!
All right. Hi, everyone. This is Miss Powell in my class. We're first grade. Say hi, everyone. Hi. We just wanted to say thank you for all you do for us. We know how much you do, and we appreciate it so, so much. Thank you so much for pouring into your community. Ready, everyone? Say thank you in 3, 2, 1.
Thank you!
Hey Greenville Rotary, this is Miss Fallish from Alexander. I'm a 5th grade teacher here. It's actually my first year in the school and the district, and it's been so nice having your guys' partnership. I especially love all the things you did for us, the little pick-me-ups you gave us throughout the year, and especially during Teacher Appreciation Week. And my students and I both loved having you guys read with us. Our reader came with great questions for the kids and was very excited and engaged to be there with them. And it's just so awesome how much you pour into our students and staff. It does not go unappreciated. Thank you. We look forward to continuing the partnership.
All right, we want to thank you for everything you have done for us this year with all of your donations and helping out with our students, with our teachers, especially our Rotary readers. We have enjoyed so much having everybody read to us and come in and join our class when possible. And my kids would just like to say one thing.
Happy Rotary Prom!
Hi Rotary, we wanted to say thank you so much for supporting our students here at Alexander. This is my 2nd year here, and you guys have been so warming and welcoming, and we can't wait to have you back in the school. We just wanted to give you a big thank you.
Thank you!
Hi Rotary, we just want to say thank you so much from the front office and the school. You have done so much for us this year. We appreciate every single thing you have come through no matter what. And we appreciate everything y'all have done. And we can't wait until you guys can get back into the building with us.
Yes. And from the Hispanic community, I want to say muchas gracias.
Thank you.
This is Mrs. Miller's reading class, and Kingston would like to share what he enjoyed from the Rotary Club when they came to read in his classroom. Kingston, what book did they come and read?
My Mouth is a Volcano.
And what did you like about the book?
Everybody was talking, and then she wanted to talk.
Who wanted to talk?
The girl whose mouth is a volcano.
Did she talk?
Yeah.
Good job. We enjoyed every school class that you came to read in. Everybody's remembering special things about the books, and we really appreciate you coming.
Rotary, I hope you understand how much of an impact you're having every day at Alexander.
Thank you, Rotary!
I to say thank you to Alexander for the gratifying experience that we've had this year with you in past years. How do you follow that? Okay, maybe one more promo about the Rotary All Club Conference. It's shaping up to be a lot more than we could have expected considering the times that we're experiencing. We have over 150 registrations now and counting, but there are a few things we want you to know. Again, the conference will take place in downtown Greenville at the Hyatt, June 25th to 27th, with the lowest room rate you'll ever get at a Hyatt. If you want to enjoy a weekend getaway, and look, we've been all holed up, in our homes. The cutoff date for reserving rooms is June 4th, just so you know. Also, as far as you know, we are canceling the second club meeting on June 22nd in order for you to participate in at least one of the events at the Hyatt. You will each get a $20 discount at one of the major events over the weekend. So if you come to the Friday night down south dinner buffet, it will cost you $50 instead of $70. The same for the general session luncheon, the awards and installation banquet on Saturday night, the memorial breakfast on Sunday, and both downtown events, the evening events will have entertainment. So it's $50 for the full dinner and entertainment and seeing all your friends. If you decide to attend the entire conference, you will pay $160 instead of $180, which includes 4 full food events. It's a deal. The cutoff date for registration for the entire conference is June 18th. Keep that in mind. We really, really want you to come. Consider joining. Now listen to this. Allie Van Dyke, Jane Dyer, Beth Paget, Ramona Farrell, Amy Randall, Teresa Miller, Chantel Babb, Ron Demonay, George Fletcher, Jimmy Kimball, Wade Cole, Connie Lanzel, Lisa Mangione, Scott and Pam Powell, Caroline Stewart, Rude Beltman, Pam and Terry Weaver, and Bill Raines is coming. Yay! So I could say this is the last chance to hear about the conference, but I doubt it. We have one more meeting on June 8th. Come on down.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm Jennifer Olmert. I'm the Executive Director of Upstate Mediation Center. I'm especially excited to be with you guys because I know that you prioritize conflict resolution and peacemaking. And in the current climate, where it seems like there's so much divisiveness, a discussion about mediation, in my view, is timely. Mediation is all about finding common ground where at first there seemed like there is none. If you are unfamiliar with mediation, I'm excited to introduce this process to you. If you know all about mediation, I'm excited to introduce you to Upstate Mediation Center, a nonprofit offering several mediation programs. Mediation is a conflict resolution process where an impartial third party, the mediator, helps disputants discuss their issues and explore options for a possible agreement. It is a confidential, proven process that saves individuals, families, and organizations money, time, and additional conflict. Mediation centers also benefit communities by supporting a more efficient court system, the prevention and early intervention of conflicts, and the reduction in community tensions by strengthening the capacity of neighborhood, civic, and school organizations to address conflict effectively. Upstate Mediation Center, or UMC, is located in downtown Greenville. We're a nonprofit, and we were founded in 1999. We were founded in response to the mandatory mediation pilot programs in the local courts: family court, common pleas, magistrate court, and probate court. These mandates meant that litigants were required to go to mediation before they could have a final hearing in their case. Mediation is mandated statewide now. While mandatory mediation has benefited the upstate by immensely decreasing the backlog of court cases due to mediated settlements, it did force parties with little or no financial resources to hire a private mediator. This is cost prohibitive to low income or indigent individuals and families. The UMC was created to solve this problem. We offer a very low flat fee rate for court-mandated mediations, and a rate further reduced for those with incomes of $12,000 or less. Additionally, we never refuse services for those who are unable to pay. And UMC's magistrate mediation, community police mediation, and community mediation programs are all free to everyone, regardless of income. There's no doubt that UMC provides the most economic choice for low-income families in the upstate. But further, we are the only nonprofit mediation center in the upstate and one of only 3 in the entire state of South Carolina. Our mission is to promote the use of mediation and other non-adversarial means of resolving conflicts and to nurture peace by restoring and strengthening family, business, and community relationships. What I often say, though, is that UMC provides high quality and affordable mediation services to those who cannot otherwise afford them, never turning away anyone due to an inability to pay. We are able to meet the affordable aspect of our mission because all of our mediators are volunteers. They donate their time and expertise as a community service and receive no compensation. We could not exist without our volunteers. We have several programs at UMC. As I talked about, we have the court-mandated mediations, family court, circuit court, probate court, magistrate court. But in the last few years, we've expanded to include community police mediation. And in this program, the UMC provides a facilitated conversation to fully resolve a complaint that a citizen might file against a police officer. It is an opportunity for the police officer and the citizen to hear, learn, and understand each other's perspectives. Generally, these will be complaints of discourtesy, unprofessional behavior, ineffective communication, bias-based policing, or limited use of force. And we are expanding into community mediations. These are an alternative to taking legal action. We offer free mediation services in matters including really anything, but landlord-tenant, business-customer, business-to-business, neighborhood, associations, workplace, family relationship, roommate conflicts, etc. This program really has the potential to resolve all types of conflict in our community. Finally, we offer trainings to become a mediator, either through scholarships to the South Carolina Bar trainings or our own trainings for the community programs. We also do smaller scope conflict resolution trainings tailored for businesses, schools, and individuals. Year to year, we provide approximately 650 mediations every year. Family court at this time makes up about 85%, and more than 35% of UMC's clients qualify for either free or reduced fee mediation services. If you are interested in becoming a mediator and volunteer or taking a training on conflict resolution, please give us a call. I would love to talk with you about the many opportunities that we offer, and I have brochures and some more information, so stop by after the program and I can give you some more information or just give us a call at the center. And our website is just upstatemediation.com. Thank you very much.
When I started my environmental engineering career about 50 years ago, it was fairly easy to get public support when Lake Erie burns. Well, today, 50 years later, Lake Erie is still burning metaphorically. On July 1st, 2021, Rotary International will have a 7th cause, protecting the environment. That cause will generate instant conflict when we try to find solutions to climate change. Weston Drips is our speaker today. Dr. Drips is a professor of the Shy Institute for Sustainability and a professor of environmental science and thank you, at Furman University. He's had an incredible background. He's been a researcher at MIT. He's been a professor at UMass. He's been an environmental consultant. He's done all kinds of things that have led to him being one of the prominent spokesmen for environment for the entire state. So please join me in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Weston Drips.
We're located actually on Furman's campus, on the back side of the bell tower, kind of where the lake is. I'm excited to also tell you that Furman is now open. So if you have not come to visit us, I'm giving you an open invitation to stop by and visit us. The Institute resides in a former Southern Living Showcase home. It's one of the nicest buildings on campus. It's a real hidden gem. And it actually has more of a hub feeling in the sense that I also oversee Organic Practice Farm that's directly adjacent to it. So we do a lot in food and farming, as well as the cabins along the lake. If you've walked around the lake, it's an intentional living community focused on sustainable living that I do with students. So with that really as an introduction, one hidden fact that many don't know is we've carved out a real national reputation in sustainability in higher ed. We're ranked in the top 10 in the country in sustainability, and that is quite an impressive feat, not only given our competition, but also you'll see we're number 9 in the country, and we are the highest rated in the entire South. In fact, we're the only one in the top 10 from the South. Something we're really proud about, something we've worked really hard to kind of achieve, but we're excited to take our success on campus and increasingly more work in the community and across the state and kind of replicating that model. So one of the questions I always get is, what is sustainability? You imagine when I'm a full-time faculty member, I moved over in my role about 5 years ago, and my phone rings off the hook and I get questions like, paper or plastic? How do I compost? What kind of toilet paper should I use? You can imagine, I mean, I get anything and everything that comes my way. I think people naturally think environmental sustainability when you say this is the word sustainability. I hope to broaden that perspective on you and really highlight the fact that sustainability is a much more kind of holistic systems approach, of which the environment's a key part, but it is more than that. And so the model that I have really adopted, I think, as the Institute's model, and I apologize to those over here that can't see it, so I'll verbally tell you, really when you think of sustainability, there are 2 constraints or 2 battles we face. One is we have a finite planet with a limited number of resources. That is a constraint put upon us by the fact that we live on a finite planet. We also, though, want people to have a good quality of life, all right? And so those 2 are often put at odds. We want people to have equity, equality, access to food, education, healthcare, etc. And as you might imagine, as you try to lift that group above a social foundation, that can create kind of constraints maybe about exceeding the Earth's capacity to sustain itself because of the finite nature. So as a sustainability scientist, as an institute, we try to actually find that sweet spot, what I like to think of as the sustainability donut, up there what's labeled as the safe and just space for humanity. How do we get the world's people above a basic social foundation, right? The basic good quality of life, maybe not a Western quality of life, because we tend to be more over consumers, but just a good quality of life, and do that within the constraints of a finite planet. Sounds easy, really, really hard to actually make a reality. But I've liked it so much that I've adopted it as the mission of the Institute. So for those who may know us, we were known as the Shy Center for Sustainability for about 10 years, almost 11 years. And this past year, I intentionally changed the name to the Shy Institute for Sustainable Communities. By design, I wanted that community piece. I wanted people to realize it's more than just the environment, that it has these other issues of social justice and equity. Those are sustainability issues. It has being financially prudent and inclusive on that. So if you go and look on our website and look at the actual mission, I think of us, what am I in the business of? I'm in the business of sustainable human flourishing. Who can't get behind that, right? I mean, it's hard to kind of refute that in terms of it's not partisan, it's about actually sustaining human flourishing in a very upbeat, positive, forward-thinking way. You'll see that the vision then is we envision a world that meets the needs of all people within the means of the living planet. If you look then at how does that play out in our mission, you'll notice if you look at the mission of the Institute, it does have environmentally sound and resilient in there when I talk about communities, and again, the one that people typically gravitate to, but you notice I also have social justice and equity, as well as economic viability and inclusivity. We have found, I'm a natural scientist, I used to think in kind of that natural science bubble, and I realized that many of the sustainability challenges we face, if I don't consider the other components, it's often actually not a viable solution. We have to get people talking to each other and thinking more in an inclusive way that involves the social, financial, economic, and the environmental together as a package. And if we don't, I think we're gonna have these secondary effects that maybe we don't often think about. If there ever was a moment where sustainability has been thrust in the limelight, and as a sustainability scientist, I want to say the pandemic has really exposed the unsustainability of a lot of the problems that we kind of face, have brought these to the forefront. That's not just climate change, which has been with us and really I think has been almost brought increasingly more to the forefront, but certainly issues of economic instability, right? The pandemic really exposed the concerns of global supply chains failing in terms of food supply chains kind of failing around the globe, but also racial discord and inequity. It really has brought this idea that environmental justice, social justice, these are interconnected issues that we can't tackle in isolation. So I want to take my 10, 15 minutes with you all. That's just a quick intro of the Institute. More than willing to tell you a lot more kind of about that. But as George mentioned, one issue that is near and dear to me and something I do think a lot about is this concern over the climate reality that we face. And what I hope to do is walk you through a quick story and break it down. The media loves to make climate change way more complicated than I think it needs to be. And so I'm going to go back to the very basics and just walk you through kind of what climate change is, what we see, and then how are we going to kind of deal with it. And for those in the back, don't worry about seeing it. It's going to focus on colors and trends. That's all we're going to talk about today. And I think will really help allow you to kind of see that. The first color up there you see, no matter where you sit, is red. 2020 was the hottest year, tied for the hottest year on record of all the record keeping that we've actually done. It tied 2016. And you notice no matter where you look in the globe, there's a lot of red. It's not just patchy, there's a lot of red kind of along. And I know there's a difference between weather and climate, but go outside today, it's in the mid 90s, we're in May. We're not even into July and August. And I think you've probably felt that here even locally, that the years do seem to get a little bit warmer every year, and summer seems to come maybe a little bit earlier kind of every year. So something that we can actually feel. The other part in terms of color, so if you want to look at it temporally, because people always love to say, well, it's, you know, it's just this year. I want to focus on trends. Climate change is about trends. And if you look from kind of upper left to lower right, that is the 30-year average temperatures from the beginning of last century across. And again, no matter where you sit, it goes from blue to progressively red. And by the time you get over here, it is really red. We're talking a deep, deep red. The last 50, 60 years, we've seen really almost an exponential increase in terms of the human impact across our globe. All right, so back to basics. People say, oh, climate change is really complex. It is very complex, but the basic premise of climate change actually is something we've known about for a long time, something you're actually familiar with in what we call the greenhouse effect. I realize I'm talking to a mixed crowd, not necessarily all science, so it really goes like this. The sun releases a lot of radiant energy. Ultraviolet light and visible light have a low wavelength and can easily penetrate our atmosphere and make it down to Earth to actually heat. That energy that comes down, when it re-radiates back as released, okay, it goes back as infrared, which has a longer wavelength, which has a harder time getting through our atmosphere. And so our atmosphere, which contains a bunch of greenhouse gases, is actually a good thing. It allows us to have a habitable planet. I think people put a lot of stigma on greenhouse gases are bad. Well, if it weren't for greenhouse gases, most of the Earth wouldn't be habitable. But in our case, it's maybe too much of a good thing can also be a bad thing. And so if you increase the number of greenhouse gases in that atmosphere, it makes it harder for that infrared radiation to escape. It gets trapped actually in there. It can't penetrate that. You've all seen this. They call it the greenhouse effect because that's how a greenhouse works. All right. Glass is the replicative for the atmosphere. It allows that UV and visible light through, and it traps the infrared that's trying to get out and heats up the greenhouse. Or better yet, if you go back to your car, depending where you parked, you get in the car, it's 15, 20 degrees hotter in the car than it was outside. It's the same principle, all right? In this case, the glass is allowed to go in. We've known this for a really long time. So people act like climate change is new, and we've known this for a really long time. All right, that's it. That's the basic science. There's a lot of complexity, but I want to show you then, how does this play out? Well, based on that principle, if we increase the number of greenhouse gases, we're likely to see warming. So are we seeing an increase in the number of greenhouse gases? The answer is yes, right? I'm going to focus on trends. This happens to be CO2. There are other things like methane I could plot as well that follow these trends. And you notice since the 1950s, 60s, we've been on a pretty consistent, steady increase in terms of the greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. People say, oh, but it's natural. Like, how do we know that's not natural? How is that a human impact? Well, I can expand the scale a little bit more to give you a little more perspective. This is kind of back to the early 1700s, kind of with the Industrial Revolution, when we kind of began to have an impact. And you notice in the last 50, 60 years, we've seen this almost exponential increase. All right, that is very much a human impact and a human footprint. And if you wanted to, I'm a geologist, so if you want to put it geologically, I can take you back now 800,000 to 1 million years and say, yes, CO2 does vary. There are a lot of things that do. But you notice that actually the historical level is about 300 parts per million, right? That variability in there were ice ages in between that were impacted by things like CO2 changes. We're up around 412, 414 parts per million. You can see the human footprint in terms of, I mean, people talk about rates of change. This is significant rate of change in a relatively small amount of time. So all that to say is, building off of the greenhouse kind of effect on that, what are the impacts that we see? There are 3 that I'll highlight really quickly. And again, I'll just kind of walk you through and then I'll open the floor up. When people talk about the effects of climate change, the first that everyone thinks about is temperature. So according to the greenhouse effect, if we increase the amount of CO2, do we see an increase in temperature? We do, right? So if you look at the temperature trend across the globe, we see that same kind of increase that surprisingly kind of mimics the increase in CO2 that we actually see. The world is warming and we need to kind of face that reality. It's happening. What we do about it maybe is where we should focus our efforts. And you'll see actually across the globe, it's not even, people say, but it's 1 degree, not a big deal. There are parts of northern Russia right now that are under permafrost that are seeing 5, 6, 7 degrees Celsius differences out of the norm. That's not good. That means the permafrost starts to melt, that releases the methane, and we get these feedback loops that can be really not good in terms of that exponential kind of increase. But again, you see the red. It's mostly red. This is the increases that I'm kind of talking about. All right, so what happens when you warm the planet? Well, one of the things that's actually prone to melt then is ice. Ice doesn't like heat. And so the Arctic, covered in ice, has been slowly melting away year by year. And again, if you look at the trend here, there's this decrease in Arctic ice that has happened that continues to kind of happen as we move forward. It's true in the Antarctic. It's true in Greenland. It doesn't matter which ice sheet I look at. As I mentioned, we're seeing this decline in ice that's kind of happening. And it's happening across the globe. All right, so let's keep with our story. What happens when you melt land-based ice? It has to go somewhere. Where's it going to go? It's going to go to the ocean. So what's going to happen? The sea's going to rise. I mean, it's basic science in terms of it's a budget, right? More water is coming in. So do we see that? Of course we do, right? So down here, you can actually see that, no surprise, sea level is continuing to rise in response to that melting of land-based ice like Greenland, Antarctica, and terrestrial glaciers. But also from a chemistry standpoint, when you heat up the ocean, if any of you have been in chemistry, things expand. All right, so the ocean is actually expanding because of the heating of the ocean. Those together are causing sea level rise. And if any of you go down to Charleston, they have sunny day flooding down there. It floods on a perfectly sunny, it's not tied to a storm or anything. It literally, that is sea level rise that is happening here now kind of across the state. And again, you can look at data. I can share any of this if you want to go take a deep dive, but we see again the trend. It is continuing and there's no indication that it's going to stop unless we kind of act to do something about it. The last one I'll show you is precip, because this is the one that I think more South Carolinians can relate to because it impacts our coast in particular. And that is when you heat things up, you increase the rate at which water cycles in the water cycle. You get more water to evaporate, you get more water to then fall out as rain. It often causes wet areas to get wetter, but dry areas to get drier, and then it increases the intensity of the storms. All right, so in our case, hurricanes, certainly a big concern down there. You don't have to, again, be a climate scientist to get the sense. It seems like a category 5 or 4 is coming across our coast almost annually now, where that maybe was only decadal kind of before. So again, if you look across this is that same idea of how has precip changed across the United States. You'll notice in the end, east of the Mississippi, we've been getting increased amounts of precipitation, it's been getting wetter. If you live out west or you follow the news, the West is in real trouble right now. Nevada, those areas in California, they're under a mega drought. They've been in drought for almost now 2 full decades. That is the water source for places like Phoenix and others. I mean, literally it's to the point that it may cut off. Imagine cutting off the water supply for Phoenix. Not good, and not a lot of options. So again, you can follow the news. Again, we hear about whether it's super typhoons or hurricane, category 5 hurricanes. Again, climate science is not, it's happening. This is happening, and this is very predictable in terms of what we would expect with the warming of the globe. All right, due to time, the thing that gets interesting where climate change gets complex are all of the secondary effects. I've shown you the data for temperature, precip, sea level rise. The question becomes then, what other impacts does that have? Well, that impacts things like food supply, public health, forest, water resources, coastal areas, biodiversity. That's where there's a lot of complexity in terms of trying to understand in a very local or regional area, how are these things going to play out? And that's where a lot of the science kind of focuses its efforts. I can't leave you with all doom and gloom though, right? That's terrible. A scientist comes in and says, the world's going to hell, and we can't do anything about it. And you know, it's like, and I've been very careful, as a sustainability scientist, I'm the eternal optimist, right? We got to be forward-thinking, solutions-oriented. So what do we do? That's the big question. And I think you're going to find two camps out there in terms of there's a group that really feels that we need to be proactive and try to mitigate the source that's causing these problems. There's a lot of discussion about carbon neutrality, emissions reductions that you'll hear a lot about. There's another group that's really focused on adaptation. Change is coming. It's you know, when I was in school 30 plus years ago, it was like worried about what's going to happen in the future. We're here. It's happening. It's not, this isn't a far out distant past. Climate change is happening. And so, and it's going to continue to happen, right? Those trends are not going to all of a sudden reverse or go away. So we need to be ready for that. So you're going to see this interesting discussion play out right here in Greenville as well. And I'll leave on that piece. Mitigation, adaptation, probably some combination of the two. If you're interested in global solutions, I highly encourage you to check out a site called drawdown.org. It was a group of scientists that got together and tried to identify the top 100 solutions to addressing global climate change. And some of the solutions might surprise you. It's not just renewable energy and wind and solar. It's things like diets and food waste and education of girls and family planning. Things like population are an important piece in all these. I don't have time to go into all those. I encourage you to go look at those, but I end by saying, come visit, number one, now you know who I am. And number two, I'm excited to report that the Cheyenne Institute is going to be working with the city on developing a sustainability plan and hopefully down the road, our first climate action plan. And this is where you can really be involved. There'll be a process to kind of solicit input, but we can do things and be very proactive right here in the city of Greenville. We're going to have to be. And so I invite you to join the Cheyenne Institute myself. There's a lot of great minds out here with a lot of great ideas. And we're going to need you in terms of, this isn't something I can do in my office and crank this out. This is something that the city of Greenville is going to have to really kind of get around. I'll stop for questions. Does that sound good? Anyway, thanks for having me, but yeah, I'll take any questions. Yes. Yeah. That's a great question. There has definitely been a measurable impact, right? One of the big pieces of the climate change component is transportation. Right. And so we did see a decrease. I would say at Furman alone, I can speak to, we do an annual greenhouse gas inventory. There was a lot of excitement. Oh, our greenhouse gas impact went down 20%. And I said, that's because we didn't do study away. We didn't, you know, faculty weren't going to conferences, students were going to conferences. Unfortunately, you know, it'll be interesting when it comes out. That may be a blip, I assume, as we go back. But to your point, there's a real opportunity here. And I think there are folks that are saying, hey, this virtual work from home commuting can actually have a lot of benefits. I don't know if I have an answer as to where it's going, but I think there will certainly be some positive impacts out of that. People are, you know, do I really need to go across the country for that conference when we've gotten comfortable with Zooming? And in fact, it's more convenient sometimes, and I can get more people on the call when I do it virtually than in person. Not that I don't like being in person. I mean, I have to admit, I'm ecstatic to see you all in person. I'm a little zoomed. I think of someone asked about, like, you know, what's this next generation going to be called? I think they're going to be the Zoomers, right? It's like It really is. It's something that they won't forget. I don't know if Zoom's here to stay or not. It'll be interesting to see what happens as we open back up in the fall. Great question. But yeah, yes, for sure, there has been an impact. Travel is a big piece of that. And we weren't traveling around the world like we had before. Whether that stays or not, I don't know. I think there'll be also there'll be a bump back when everyone then finally can take that vacation or something. You're going to probably see a quick sway back, but hopefully it comes back. Yes.
Hey, I noticed on the weather forecast that we're in the middle of this bad air quality thing going on. Ozone levels are supposed to be horrible.
Mm.
Is it okay to go outside and exercise when the air quality is horrible?
Yeah, I'll be first to admit I'm not a public health expert in terms of, but yeah, I mean, the reason they share those air quality things is to give you some advice on that. Sure, there are levels that you need to be, you know, there are times where we have bad air quality days. They probably advise not doing that. It's not great. I mean, is it going to kill you instantly? Of course not, right? But again, a long sustained exposure to that can be a concern. No, I mean, that's why they have it. That's why they've tried to be very public about that, not to scare you, but just to make you aware that, yeah, it's probably not ideal. Hopefully, you know, again, this is those secondary impacts. So it's not just about it's hot and everything else. There are these secondary impacts on air quality, water quality, and things like that are certainly a concern. Yes.
How do you go about convincing all those people who, A, don't like science, don't understand, don't want to know about science? I mean, they do with the, you know, consistent deniers of anything.
Yeah.
That this really is a problem.
Yeah, the question was, how do I deal with the science deniers? And again, as a scientist, it pains me. I unfortunately, they've taken something like climate change or science and made it so partisan, it should be the most, I mean, as a scientist operating, it should be the most, that's why I do science, right? I don't want the partisanship. I don't want to get caught up in the political discussion. I'm a scientist, right? I stick to the data and go with the data. But we are in a concern, whether it's fake news or other stuff that has really permeated, that have really called that into question. I wish I had an answer for that, but I will say as a scientist, that's been one of the most painful things over the last 5-10 years, is to watch this skepticism that somehow it's a conspiracy theory, that I'm out to benefit somehow. I mean, I'm like, I don't know who you think I am in terms of these things, but you know, I know my fellow scientists in there were driven to the truth in science and data, but it's a challenge. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that science had, is how do we bring about policy change and get folks that are in the policy arena to appreciate and understand that we're not great communicators by nature. A lot of scientists like to be in the lab, in the field. We don't like standing up in front of big groups, right? And talking. That's been kind of one of the problems, I think, and has allowed a lot of this disinformation or skepticism of science to kind of permeate. I hope, I mean, I can only hope is I'm going to stay the truth. I'm going to remain nonpartisan, stick to the data and keep telling the data story and hope that it can resonate, but try to digest it in a way that is digestible, in a way that I'm not talking over everybody's head. It's easy when you talk to some scientists, including myself, you know, I talk to them like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, and it's easy to kind of dismiss it or kind of turn it away. We need to do a better job on the communication side. It is that easy. I was hoping, you're my guinea pigs, right? You understand greenhouse effect and how it goes, right? No, I mean, rightfully so, right? I'm not talking to a bunch of scientists necessarily, but if you can get that, we've succeeded. That's the level to which you need to understand it to realize it's a problem. Good. Sure, one more question. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit I've always underestimated the impact of the lobby. And again, I have friends on the Hill that will tell you how influential lobbyists are on a lot of those issues. And again, that's true in climate change. There are folks out there that are actively lobbying against the science or coming up with alternative versions of the science to help influence. I don't know how to get around that either.
I just like to say, to me, the hopeful thing is they're going to get a group together in Greenville. They're going to work on it together. We're going to have people from all areas. We're going to have science-based information, and I think that's very positive. We will donate a book to Alexander Elementary School on behalf of you, if you'll please sign it. We'd appreciate it. And we just thank you so much for coming today. That was awesome.
Well, again, I'll say, I'm excited the campus is open. I'm not kidding. Open invite. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 on there. I'll give you a tour of the facility. There's a lot more. We do a lot in the community, and I think you're going to see us increasingly more, not just in the climate arena, but affordable housing, gentrification, alternative transportation, food insecurity. We really want Furman to be a much more proactive player here in Greenville because these are real issues that we all face. We have some great faculty, great students that have a lot of expertise that we're excited to kind of partner with organizations like Rotary and others across the city. This is our, I keep reminding Furman folks and others, like Furman's our town, right, too, in terms of this, like we're vested in Greenville. I want it to be more sustainable. It's a great win-win. So come visit. I encourage you to come out and visit.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll just throw in there to show you how progressive Greenville is. In the late 70s, my dad had a solar water heating company and built an earth sheltered house. So that was a long time ago. Yes. Yes. So thank you so much. And of course, we're thrilled to support our Alexander family. And thank you for the video. That was awesome. And thank you. And to William Bradshaw, who has been had an amazing impact on our community and on our club. And I think it's very fitting for Lana, who is completely dedicated and committed to community service and all other service above scholars, to see what an impact they can make over their lifetime. So it's just very encouraging to me to have all of you here today, and congratulations. Thank you so much. And I failed to say to any of you visitors here, if you've decided you need to be part of Rotary today, we would love to have you. We are, just so you know, if you sign up and pay your dues before the end of June, then we're waiving the application fee. So you can get an application from Michelle, or she'll make sure you know how to get one. And we would love to have you join our club. And I think, and also about the Mediation Center, it was great to learn about you. Thank you for being with us, Jennifer. Thank you all for coming. We thank our Zoomers for coming and sticking with us, all our guests, all our members, and we look forward to seeing you at the party Thursday night. We'll close with our four-way test, if everyone would please stand. Of the things that we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will be benefit to all concerned?